Welcome to the Raging Takes podcast with your hosts, Brian Dixon, Kai Szabo, and Dylan Peters.
What's up, you turkeys? Welcome to episode 133 of the Raging Takes podcast. Today is Saturday, December 21st, 2024. I'm your host, Brian Dixon, joined as always by my co-hosts, Kai the Commissioner Szabo and Dylan Peters. Good morning.
Salutations.
Salutations to you as well. I thought a little solid, dude.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I'm well.
Good.
Good. Okay.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Today's show, we have the Week 16 NFL preview. We have the Chargers-Broncos recap. I think Tank Dell just caught a touchdown and injured his knee live on the podcast right now.
I'm going to be honest with you, dude. For him to catch a touchdown after he kept people from making the playoffs is crazy.
Oh,
Stop trying.
Well, he might have to stop trying because he looks like he's definitely injured right now.
Mm-hmm.
Medical training staff is surrounding him in the back of the end zone. But great catch, though. So we'll keep an eye on Houston versus Kansas City for the rest of the game and the rest of the podcast. We got saviors and stinkers as well. But first, we'll start with the raging question of the day. And it has to do with Diontae Johnson. The most interesting man in America right now. He's been waived by the Ravens. He can be claimed by a team on Monday. Adam Schefter came out with a report this morning that said he expects him to be claimed by somebody. He mentioned the Chargers and the Chiefs specifically, but he also said that there's a chance that there's going to be a team in front of them that may make a claim. So it seems like Diontae will probably have a new home before he hits free agency. So the question is, do you think he's going to, do you think he's going to get claimed? He is going to get claimed if Schefter says so, but who do you think should claim him? Do you like the Chargers? Do you like the Chiefs? What are we looking at here?
The Chargers is kind of nice, honestly. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, the Chiefs are definitely going to be in there too. But yeah, he's for sure going to go to a contending team that's going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think if you're the Chargers, you have to kind of think of the Chiefs getting another talented receiver.
Yeah.
And maybe just claim him out of self-preservation.
I mean, he might even be usable on the Chargers right away. Yeah. I mean, I kind of think of back to Keenan Allen being on the Chargers when I think of Diontae, you know?
It would be good for Justin Herbert to have get him a couple weeks like under his belt, you know, with Diontae and then go into the playoffs. And yeah, I just think them keeping him away from KC would be super smart.
Yeah.
It'd be a nice strategy move, yeah. I mean, I know the running joke is like every time there's a big free agent, he's going to the Chiefs automatically. So like they were obviously a choice there, but the Chargers do make a lot of sense, even if they weren't going to block him from Kansas City, because I mean they just have really not a lot of talent in that wide receiver room. Like obviously Ladd is great, but Will Dissly's injured right now. It's like you got Huge, who just drops passes over and over, either catches a touchdown or drops the pass. It's just like they definitely need some wide receiver help. Now, if Diontae's willing to participate, because a lot of this is on him too, you know, so like we don't know the absolute inner workings of the Ravens controversy, but if I had to guess, I would say that he's probably in the wrong. And also, if he's not going to listen to John Harbaugh, can Jim Harbaugh get into his brain and make him a part of the Chargers? I don't know. This seems like a hard task to kind of like calm this guy down. But yeah, between those two, I would rather him go to the Chargers just from a usage standpoint. I always like Diontae as a player. I think he's a good player, and I think he would fit in perfectly with the Chargers and what they need on offense right now. Chiefs, I don't even know if they really need him. Like Hollywood Brown came back today. He's got a couple passes today. He looks pretty good. He looks fresh, fast. So like if him, Xavier Worthy, I mean, it didn't count as a touchdown, but he had an awesome catch earlier too. It was out in the end zone. The Chiefs kind of are getting some talent together. Still got Hopkins, still got Kelsey. I don't necessarily know if they need him. So I don't think he's going to go to the Chiefs. If the Chargers don't claim him, I assume the Chargers are in front of the Chiefs in the waivers. I think that's how that works, right? It's for first record. So I would say the Chargers or a worse team will claim him. I'm kind of, for at least for a football fan standpoint, I'm kind of rooting for the Chargers. I think that'd be good for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Saviors and stinkers time. I'll go first. Jalen McMillan is going to be my savior. I'm going to go out of the box here a little bit, off the wall, if you will. The Dallas Cowboys are 22nd against wide receivers in fantasy football and PPR. He has 3 touchdowns over the past 2 games after kind of having like a slow rookie season. He hasn't really been a part of the offense that much this year. Last 2 games, though, 3 touchdowns. He had 7 targets and 6 targets, respectively, in those 2 games. So, I mean, not like world-beating numbers, but those are respectable compared to the rest of the season that he's had. And Cade Otton is now doubtful for that game. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be some targets distributed that need to, usually go to Cade, need to go to somewhere else. I kind of like Jalen McMillan against the Cowboys. Baker's going to be throwing that thing.
For my savior this week, I'm going with Tajay Spears. So as we all know, Tony Pollard is currently on the injury report right now. He has not practiced all week. So I think that opens up the door for Tajay Spears to blow up in this matchup against the Indianapolis Colts, who are one of the top 5 worst rushing defenses in the league. I kind of think that this, if the Titans are going to have any chance of trying to win this game, they're going to have to establish a good ground game here. And I think Tajay can pop off. I mean, he's good in the run game and he can catch passes. So in a week where your fantasy playoffs are on the line, give Tajay Spears a shot in your flex.
So if Pollard plays, though, I would say Pollard probably goes in place of Tajay for your savior then.
Oh yeah, pretty much whoever's running back for the Titans. Yeah, whoever's running back for the Titans against the Colts is going to be a good matchup.
Pollard hasn't practiced at all this week, though, I believe, right? So it seems like it's probably going to be Tajay, but you never know.
Yeah, it was did not practice all week.
All right.
Yeah.
For my first or my only savior, I think I'm going to go with Jordan Addison facing the Seattle Seahawks. I think that he's been really up and like he was very, very up, right? And then kind of came back down. But I think he's solidifying himself as the easy number 2 option in that offense. TJ Hawkinson's there, Aaron Jones is there. You got Justin Jefferson, and also with the receiver that just went down. The Vikings, I can't remember. Who went down for the Vikings?
Went down?
I don't know if it was anybody.
I'm not sure.
But Jordan Addison has kind of stepped up in that offense as a solidified playmaker. So I think if you're looking for a guy to flex, or if you're like really just waffling back and forth and you have Jordan Addison, just trust the process, man. There's like Sam Darnold could throw 4 touchdowns and 3 of them could go to Addison. You never know with that offense.
Addison's been, I mean, I know he has like his down weeks, but he's so talented. Like he could be a wide receiver 1 for a team, but he just happens to play on the same team as the best receiver in the league. So it's like he had 43 points 2 weeks ago, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it's a good one. All right. My stinker this week is Jerry Jeudy. Nothing against Jerry Jeudy specifically. I've been a Jerry Jeudy guy longer than anyone. Ask anybody. And it is against the Bengals, who are dog shit. They're 17th against wide receivers. I just don't think DTR can sustain an offense. I've never seen anything from his very limited playing time that tells me that he's ever going to be ready to be an NFL quarterback. Personally, I just don't see it. I think he turns the ball over just as much, if not more, than Jameis does. And I don't think he's going to be efficient enough to move that offense. I wouldn't judge you if you start Jerry Jeudy this week because he's been so fucking good. But I would be really, really, really nervous to play him with DTR. Just very scared. And if I had any alternate, I would run to them for sure. So Jerry Jeudy, my stinker.
So for my stinker this week, I'm going with Najee Harris against the Baltimore Ravens. So as we all know, the Baltimore Ravens, they're one of the worst passing defenses in the league, but where they excel is in the rushing defense. I apologize. But yeah, number 1 rushing defense in the league right now. They're also limiting explosive runs at the highest rate. And with Jaylen Warren back in the lineup, Najee Harris has just kind of become a floor play these days. So to Najee Harris, I say Najee.
Najee. For my stinker, I'm going to go with Chase Brown. Now hear me out.
Ooh, wait.
Very good running back in the NFL. In fantasy, he's having a very, very good season.
What a great season.
This Cleveland defense doesn't mess around against running backs, against really anybody that they play against. They have a very good defense. And if you look at Chase Brown's statistics throughout the year, the only time since week 4 that he's been held under 10 points was against the Cleveland Browns. So this division game, they can mitigate his yards per carry. Maybe they can they could disrupt the game plan of the Bengals, which, by the way, happens. By the way, Joe Burrow in that offense has stinky games versus the Browns.
That is true.
Let's not forget that. So if that happens, it's going to be a trickle-down effect. And if this turns into a defensive battle, I'm not really looking to start anyone except the must-starts like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins on the Bengals anyways.
I respect that take. I don't think I agree with it, though. I think I would start Chase Brown. I think he's a must start. Yeah, he's been a running back one, a top 10 play every single week since Zach Moss went down.
Yeah, he actually hasn't been featured on this segment because he is a must start.
I respect the take, though. That's a good take. If it hits, I'll give you full credit for that one.
Hey, I just think maybe you have another option or you start 2 running backs that week. I think the risk is great for him to score fairly low.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thursday Night Football. Chargers 34, Broncos 27. This was actually a great game. A really great game. Tale of two halves. The Broncos kind of dominated the first half, and then the second half, it was all Chargers. Justin Herbert, he went 23 of 31 for 284, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Had one of the better throws I've seen this season on one of his touchdowns. It was the Darius Davis touchdown where he was like running to his left side and then he kind of like flipped his body around and just like threw the ball up to Darius Davis. But like the angle that he was at, it was just like such a sick play on the left side of the field. Darius Davis, I mean, didn't really do much. 2 for 31 and a touchdown. I even said, who the hell is that guy when he caught the touchdown? Gus Edwards had a great game, 14 for 68, 2 touchdowns. His long touchdown he had it was fantastic. McConkey, 6 for 87. Hassan Haskins caught the other touchdown, 2 for 39. And that touchdown is kind of like just a dump off that he took like 30-ish yards for a score. It was kind of a nice play too. Quentin Johnston, 3 for 18, had another really bad drop. I mean, this dude, I don't know what's going on with him. He makes Dontavian Wicks look like Randy Moss. Just 2 of the worst hands I've ever seen, and I think Huge is going to take the lead in the bad hands power rankings for the Brian man at least. And then this is a fun little storyline here. Did you guys see the fair catch kick that Cameron Dicker had? The 57-yard. I know Kai did because he has him in fantasy football in his championship matchup in our home league.
I didn't understand it at first. I was like, wait, what just happened? Yeah.
So I didn't understand it either. This is what it is. It was at the very end of the half. It was called, the Chargers called a fair catch. One of the Broncos ran into the receiver, so they get an untimed down as a result. And there's a rule in football that you can kick a free kick at the spot of a fair catch after the fair catch if you want. It's very rarely used because obviously offenses usually want to try to go score a touchdown. But since it's the end of the half, it's an untimed down. Jim Harbaugh's like, let's fucking do it. Go out there for the free kick, 57-yarder. Cameron Dicker, one of the best kickers in the league, nails it.
Right. So you can, let's say you get you catch a punt, fair catch at like the 40-yard line, the opponent's 40-yard line. You can then do a free kick field goal no matter what. You can just choose to.
Not no matter what. Like, obviously, if the time is out normally, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, it was because of the penalty, they had an untimed down. So let's say that fair catch interference didn't happen, the half would have just been over, and it would have gone to halftime.
Gotcha.
So that's why it's so rarely used, because there's just not very many scenarios where that would ever be the case, because the team wants to score a touchdown, not a field goal right off the bat, you know? So, Harbaugh said that this is his favorite rule in football, and he's been trying to do it every game this year. That's what he actually said that. He's wanted to do it every single game. Wow. And he also said he tried to do it in San Francisco with Phil Dawson back in the day. He had tried to attempt a 71-yarder, I think in 2013 or something like that. So I just knows the rule book. I mean, respect to Harbaugh. The first successful fair catch kick since 1976, which was also by a Chargers kicker. And this is the first one attempted since 2019 when Joey Sly of Carolina tried to against Tampa Bay. He tried to hit a 60-yarder against Tampa Bay. So
I don't remember any of those instances.
I don't either, but I'm not a historian of Panthers football, so I'm not going to remember that one. I definitely don't remember the 1976 one.
Not since 1976, dude.
Absolutely not. Bo Nix was 29 of 40, 263 and 2. Honestly, the stats look better than he actually was, I think. He just wasn't really moving the ball downfield a lot, especially in the second half. Obviously, the Broncos only had like 2 field goals in the second half, something like that. I think they had 21 points at halftime. So it's like they kind of just I don't know if it's the Chargers just like hulking up on defense for the second half or the Broncos just shit in the bed. But yeah, I would say Bo Nix played worse than what his stats indicate, in my opinion. Audric Estime was the leading rusher for the Broncos, only 9 carries for 48 yards and a touchdown. Jaleel McLaughlin missed this game. Sutton was 5 for 50, Mims 3 for 62, Javonte Williams 7 catches for 29 yards. Vele and fullback Michael Burton had receiving touchdowns. Here is a stat from this game. The touchdown scorers in this game, okay? Gus Edwards was started in 11% of Yahoo leagues. This is from Yahoo Sports. I don't have sleeper numbers or anything like that. Devon Vele, 2% started. Audric Estime, 0% started. Michael Burton, 0% started. Darius Davis, 0% started. Hassan Haskins, 0% started. So it's just, it has nothing to do with fantasy at all unless you had like Bo Nix or Justin Herbert, basically.
Gus Edwards being started in only 11% of Yahoo leagues is unbelievable. In the championship round.
He's been bad.
I know, and the matchup on paper wasn't good. So I mean, I could see why people sat him. You know,
honestly, I thought 11% was high. I expected that one to be lower.
I mean, I guess so, but like in this, I guess bye weeks are over, and it is championship round. So really, the only teams setting lineups, hopefully, or like adding players or making roster moves are the championship teams. That makes sense.
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns previously. They had been recently, but like he hasn't had in PPR, he hasn't had a 10-point game all season until this one where he had 21 points. So I fully understand not starting Gus Edwards unless you were very desperate.
Wow, dude.
But this was a big win for the Chargers, honestly, because the Broncos had a chance to go up 2 games on them in the standings. Now they're tied, and the Chargers have the tiebreaker. So the Chargers are sitting at second place in the AFC West right now. This might come back to haunt the Broncos. In my opinion, they are the better team, and they had control of this game, and they just let it get away. They may regret this game in the long run.
I saw the statistics. I mean, the Broncos and the Chargers, I guess no matter what happens between them, they still have the highest chance by a lot to make the playoffs.
I saw the Chargers have like a 98% chance to make the playoffs now or something like that.
And the Broncos are still sitting above like 50%, I think. Yeah,
it's because the people on their tails are just, they're just not good enough. The Dolphins, the Bengals, and the Colts. Yeah, technically they're not even on their tails, really.
It's like two game lead with 2 games left. It's like, come on now.
Yeah. Well, listen to what the Bengals need to make the playoffs. They need to win out against the Browns, Broncos, Steelers. They need the Broncos to lose out to the Bengals and the Chiefs. They need the Colts to lose once and the Dolphins to lose once. So it's like the Bengals specifically need a ton of help, but they're third in the pecking order in tiebreaker. So I still think both of these teams are obviously going to make the playoffs, but you're right. None of these teams are technically on their tail. They're just not good enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the game was like inconsequential, but it almost kind of is because they're both like going to make the playoffs, I think.
But seeding wise, though,
I think the Broncos
would want the better seed personally, and I'm not sure they're going to get it now.
I think the story of Bo Nix and the Broncos making an impact of being a good team and making the playoffs this year is one of the more underrated stories and should put Bo Nix like in serious consideration for Rookie of the Year.
Oh, I mean, I think it's either him or Jaden Daniels right now in my book.
I think Bowers has a case. I think Bowers has a case too. I don't think he's going to end up winning it, but I do think Bowers deserves to win. He deserves to be in the conversation.
Oh yeah, it's those 3 guys, and just the fact that 2 rookie quarterbacks have led their teams basically to playoff berths is pretty nuts. Not saying Washington's locked it up yet, because they by no means have they. They're in the thick of it, but still.
That game against the Falcons next week is huge for Washington because especially if Atlanta wins this week with Michael Penix, the Falcons will be on their tail. So, and there's a very good chance the Commanders lose this week to the Eagles. So the NFC race has the potential to be more exciting than what we've been giving it credit for the last few weeks.
Can we talk about how relieving it is for Michael Penix to be a starting quarterback in the NFL right now?
Oh, I'm so excited.
It feels so much better than Kirk Cousins.
Well, now they're also saying too that Kirk Cousins is going to get released pretty quickly in the offseason too. They're just going to eat however much money they need to eat and get rid of him. And it's going to be kind of a situation kind of like what Russell Wilson did with the Steelers this year, where he's just not getting paid that much money by the Steelers because the Broncos are still technically paying him a ton of money. So the Falcons are still going to be paying Kirk a good amount of money, and he's probably going to go play for, some other team.
He's going to go play for Cleveland.
Cleveland has been the name that people have been talking about. Be the backup / competitor to Deshaun Watson, which sounds like the worst quarterback competition of all fucking time.
Dude, Kirk Cousins would blow Deshaun Watson out of the water in a training camp.
Which is really saying something, yeah.
Oh my God.
The worst quarterback competition since Rex Grossman versus John Beck in 2010 or 2011, whenever that was.
First of all, any quarterback competition involving Rex Grossman was a bad one.
I thought Rex Grossman was the better. I was a Rex Grossman fan that year. I was like, please start Rex Grossman. John Beck makes my fucking eyes bleed.
Dude, you're like, Rex Grossman took a team to the Super Bowl.
What are we doing? Mike Shanahan's like, got to have that Beck. I really liked him coming out of college. I would have taken him first overall. Fucking idiot. All right, Texans Chiefs check in. The Chiefs are up 17-16 right now. Like I said, the Tank Dell injury looked really bad. CJ Stroud was like bawling on the sideline.
Dude, Tank Dell left that stadium in an ambulance, dude.
He did. He sure did. Yeah. So I heard too that I didn't see like the slow-mo breakdown of the injury or anything like that. I heard it looks really bad. So I got to assume that Tank Dell's probably going to be out for the rest of the season and probably into the start of next year, which really sucks for the Texans and sucks for Tank Dell. I think we all love Tank Dell here on this podcast. And that hurts the Texans too, because now who do they have other than Nico? Xavier Hutchinson? I don't know if that's a pretty good wide receiver 2 to have opposite Nico.
Robert Woods.
Yeah, the ghost of Robert Woods, Bobby Trees.
Poor Texans, dude. They're about to get absolutely little broed again in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're in fraud territory for sure.
They've been.
Dude, they're right now, as it stands, they would face the Ravens.
Oh no. Rematch of the divisional round last year, right? Didn't they play in the divisional round?
The one where the Texans
destroyed them, no?
Bad.
No, Ravens destroyed them, yeah.
Oh man. Okay. And also, update for the Steelers and Ravens, too. I don't have anything other than this. Rashad Bateman is going to play in that game. He's active. So that starts in about an hour and 15 minutes after the Chiefs game ends. We'll give you another Texans-Chiefs check-in here at the end of the game. Let's get to Week 16. Start off with Giants at Falcons. Giants are 2-12. Atlanta is 7-7. The Falcons have placed Younghoe Koo on IR. They signed Riley Patterson to replace him. Younghoe Koo hasn't had like the best season, in my opinion, though. I feel like he's missed a lot of field goals. So I mean, he's better than Riley Patterson is, but I don't know if this is like losing like Harrison Butker level bad for the Falcons or anything like that. Tyrone Tracy is questionable with an ankle injury. Brian Burns is questionable with an ankle and a neck. So Penix, Kai's raging take the other day was that he thinks the Falcons are going to go 3-0 with Michael Penix and make the playoffs. Starts here. This is a very winnable game against the Giants. I think Brian Burns is going to play, but if he doesn't, that's huge too. It's Drew Lock starting for the Giants. I mean, I'll say it right now. I agree, Kai. I don't think they're going to go 3-0, but I do think they're going to win this game for sure. I hope Penix looks good. I think he's going to look at least good enough to win this game. Maybe a little bit of growing pains. But I definitely go Falcons here. I'm a little nervous about the wide receivers playing them in a fantasy like championship or a semifinal, depending on what rules your league has. I think I would. I don't know. I think I'd play Drake London If I had to, I don't know if I'm playing Mooney. I don't know. Which one of those guys would you rather play if you had to pick one or the other?
Kind of like
I'd rather play London.
I would rather play London, I think, but
Well,
I'm not confident in it.
From what I know about Michael Penix is he loves throwing the taller receivers, so I could see a guy like Pitts even getting some action. I know that's a bold one to say as well, but I really do think Michael Penix is going to have a fantastic game. I'm thinking like a very clean game, maybe 2 touchdowns at the minimum.
Yeah, I think they were saying that he was basically the most him and Bo Nix were the most pro-ready quarterbacks coming into the draft. So I do think Penix is going to step in and make everyone that has anything to do with the Falcons, the fans, the front office, the coaching staffs, the players, the groundskeepers, anybody, they're going to be like, oh, why didn't he play every one of the 14 games so far?
Yep.
Wait, you gave how much money to Kirk Cousins? Wait, how many Achilles does he have?
Wait a minute. What's going on? And it's going to be like, and the Falcons have the tiebreaker over the Bucs. They're only a game back. They have a good chance to really catch up. And if they, like I said, if they finish with the same record, guess who's going to the playoffs? It's the Falcons. So just nose to the grindstone, dude.
I wouldn't say the Bucs have a much easier schedule because the Falcons' schedule is decently easy. But the thing is, the Falcons have the Commanders. The Bucs don't have really anybody. The Bucs have I think it's the Panthers, the Cowboys, and someone else. And the Saints, and the Falcons have the Saints, Commanders, and Giants.
It's about equal. The Commanders is the tallest task.
For sure. So all Tampa has to do is win out against 3 bad teams, and they're going to be fine no matter what. If you lose to one of those teams you shouldn't lose to, you're inviting Atlanta to try to make a run here. So if Tampa Bay just takes care of business, I still think they're going to make the playoffs. But the thing is, even if Atlanta doesn't catch up to Tampa Bay, if they beat the Commanders, Atlanta still might make a wild card. So Tampa Bay is not even necessarily the main focal point for them. Just like win some games, definitely win the Commanders game. You might find yourself in the playoffs accidentally anyways.
Hey, I have the Carolina Panthers have the opportunity to choose or direct which one of these teams goes to the playoffs because they both play the Panthers back-to-back weeks. I'm thinking the Panthers are going to be probably most likely a trap game for one of these teams, maybe both. I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers just squeeze out 2 wins against these fucking teams.
I told Brian on Tuesday, I said I would not be shocked if the Saints can beat the Buccaneers in their matchup as well too. So
I don't think I agree with that because Spencer Rattler. But divisional games are weird, and Tampa has dropped some goofy ones this year too, so it's definitely not impossible. I don't think they're going to, but I don't think it's impossible to. I still think Tampa wins the NFC South, but I'm interested to see how Michael Penix looks because if he looks good, that Commanders-Falcons game is going to be juicy. They flexed it to Sunday Night Football too, so there's going to be a lot of eyes on that one. So
I'm picking the Falcons anyways. Yeah, this is just. I expect this to be a breath of fresh air for Falcons fans this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Falcons.
All on Atlanta. Lions 12-2 at the Bears 4-10. The big news out of this one, I guess not this game specifically, but for the Lions, they're optimistic now that David Montgomery actually avoided season-ending surgery and could make a return in the playoffs. So that's great news for them. He's obviously out the rest of the regular season, will not be playing in this game. Probably don't need him, though. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will probably dice up the Bears pretty well without David Montgomery. Brian Branch is questionable with a calf injury, and Jalen Johnson is questionable with an illness. There's just no way the Bears win this game. I'm sorry. There's just no way the Bears win. Even with all the defensive injuries, I just don't see it happening. I looked at stats. Even before Matt Eberflus got fired, the defense has been bad. It has been really bad under Thomas Brown. I don't see it getting any better, especially if Jalen Johnson misses with an illness. I don't think that's going to be enough to keep Jalen Johnson out, but you never know. It could also just be an illness. But yeah, I'm going Lions roll over the Bears. I know it was close on Thanksgiving, but I don't think it's going to be close this time.
Yeah, to say that the Bears defense was bad before Eberflus left it's okay. It's okay. We were getting gashed, but the red zone defense is what we've really lost. Like, because at the beginning of the season, up until Eberflus was gone, we were the definition, the epitome of a bend but don't break defense. It was yardage, but kicking field goals instead of, touchdowns. That's all gone. That's all gone. And let me tell you what, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to take everybody's lunch. This is going to be the game we probably should have seen on Thanksgiving.
I am licking my chops.
That's what it's going to be. And it doesn't matter who's in or who's out for the Bears. Even if we were completely healthy with a coaching staff intact, I think we lose this game. Yeah. Just because I don't think the Lions can muster losing to this much worse of a team.
That I got that from Courtney Cronin, who's a Bears reporter for ESPN. She said since week 7, they're last in total QBR allowed, last in yards after the catch allowed per reception, last in yards per completion allowed, second to last in quarterbacks time to throw from the pocket, 31st in first downs allowed per pass attempt, 31st in yards per drive, 31st in drives that result in points, and 30th in pass rush win rate.
Good God.
Yeah, that's
week
bad.
7. That's
but
really
the red zone defense.
And then under the first comment underneath this tweet from Cronin is a Photoshop picture of Matt Patricia in a Mike Ditka-esque uniform with bears on the front that said it's going to take a rocket scientist to save this defense.
Oh, God.
So there we go.
Yeah, I'm picking the Lions too.
Yeah, are we all on the Lions? Yeah. Okay. All of us are on Detroit. Next up, Cardinals 7-7 at Carolina 3-11. Xavier Legette is out, and Jalen Coker is questionable with a quad injury. If Jalen Coker misses, that's going to be down to David Moore and Adam Thielen, I believe, would be the starting receivers for Carolina, which David Moore is an okay player, I guess. Adam Thielen still got some gas in the tank, but the Cardinals should be able to beat this team. Now, granted, Arizona likes to play down to their opponents sometimes too. So some weeks Arizona looks great, like a solid playoff team, and then other ones they look like they should be picking in the top 10. I don't know which Cardinals team we're going to see here. Carolina has the ability to kind of upset teams. This seems like a trap game to me. I think I'm going to pick the Cardinals, but every time I pick the Panthers, they fucking lose anyway. So I am going to pick the Cardinals, but I'm a little nervous about this one. I think the Cardinals need to be careful here.
Yeah, they definitely do need to be careful. I know it's a home game for the Panthers. We thought about, this team's being competitive, but we're a long ways away so far. We've put some time in between us and the 2 games that the Panthers won earlier in the season. It's been a while since that happened, and I'm going to start to kind of think again they're back on that L streak. Like, it looks good for Bryce Young for a couple weeks. They squeezed out some wins. But they've been really struggling to get anything going the last couple weeks, and this is the perfect get-right game for Arizona. I think that they really need it to stay in contention for a playoff spot. So I'm going to put my chips on Arizona this week. I think it's a smart pick, and especially with the injuries that they have, the Panthers have at receiver, it's going to limit them a little bit. So sorry, Panthers, you stink.
I'm gonna do it.
Sorry to offend you, Panthers. Oh no!
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, no, I do agree with you though. I do think this is a game that the Cardinals can lose, and for some reason I can see it too. And I'm just gonna go with it. I really do think, there are injuries to wide receiver, but I do believe that this is a defense that Chuba Hubbard can light up a little bit.
On the other side, though, James Conner can light up the Panthers. Though,
absolutely.
Too,
Absolutely.
Makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
Kyler, I'm afraid to start Kyler. It's not because of this is a great matchup, but he just sometimes in good matchups he just lets you down. So I have an option between Jaden Daniels against a good defense, Philly, or Kyler Murray against a bad defense in Carolina, and I think I'm still rolling Jaden Daniels just because I think the ceiling's higher. I don't know if I trust Kyler Murray in a semifinal game. I
think that's a good decision.
If he puts up 10 points and James Conner has 3 touchdowns, it's just going to be so aggravating. So, if you got him, you got to start him, but I'm nervous about it for sure.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is the kind of guy that you could look up and he produces 20 fantasy points in 2 plays. And you're like, oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah, the two best defenses he's played this season by far have been the Steelers and the Eagles, and they were back-to-back weeks, and those were his probably two worst games of the season, which scares me a little bit. And he actually saved himself in the fourth quarter of that Eagles game in garbage time because he got a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to that awesome catch in the back of the end zone for Zach Ertz. So he got up to 14 points, which is still pretty abysmal, but it was better than what the alternative was going to be before like 5 minutes left in the fourth. I think he has a better game this time, but I'm still really fucking nervous about it against the Eagles. I think Brian Robinson is a scary play too against the Eagles. He did score a touchdown last time, but I also don't think he had like a great fantasy day at the end of the game. If my memory serves correctly. But yeah, though. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves with Washington, but
Yeah.
Kai, you're on the Panthers. Dylan and I are on Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Rams 8-6 at Jets 4-10. Braylon Allen is questionable with a back injury. Quinnen Williams is questionable with a hamstring. Did you guys hear the report this week about Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets?
I heard something about him.
So apparently they had an opportunity to get Jerry Jeudy in the offseason, and he declined because he said Jerry Judy's Madden rating wasn't high enough.
Oh, actually, I think that refers to his son. Have you heard about that? Yeah.
Both of his sons are involved in the story, too. It was a big, long article written by The Athletic. Yeah. I read it last night before I went to bed. His sons are rumored to be involved in some decision-making, yes. And I believe they're like 11 and 12.
No, it's pretty confirmed. They were talking about it on the Pat McAfee show. I was watching that episode. Yeah, it's like a 17-year-old kid, just so arrogant from Harvard, all this and that. He's actually making
17. Okay, he's older than I thought. That's my bad.
There's actually been like reports from the players that are like, I had a 17-year-old kid come up to me and say this and that to me, like he knew anything about anything. Yeah, it was crazy.
So that the first win that Jeff Ulbrich got as an interim head coach, Rodgers got a game ball and he was going to give it to Ulbrich, as his first NFL win ever as a head coach, And then before he got the chance to do it in the locker room, I guess Woody Johnson's sons barged in, made like a big commotion about it, reportedly very awkward commotion.
Cringe.
And gave a game ball to Garrett. Yeah, very cringe. Specifically cringe was the word they used. And gave a game ball to Garrett Wilson instead. And like everybody was very like weirded out about it, including Garrett Wilson, it sounded like. And then Aaron Rodgers was like, what the fuck was this? Made some like weird comments about it, I think, on Pat McAfee's show.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Jets are more dysfunctional than I even fucking realized.
Yeah, there's a 17-year-old making roster decisions.
And you know what his kid's name is? Brick.
Yeah,
Brick Johnson.
Yep, there it is.
No way.
That literally translates to hard penis. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually couldn't believe it when I heard it. I was like, are you kidding me?
Not a lot of things in this life can make me feel good about being a Bears fan. But that just did it for me.
That sort of dysfunction would even make Daniel Snyder blush. He'd be like, "Oh my god, that's fucked up."
My sons don't speak.
Yeah, they don't speak to me at all.
You have sons that speak to you?
I don't know if Daniel Snyder has kids. I'm not sure, but yeah, that crazy report out of the New York Jets. That made me feel like they are just completely hopeless. Like that. That's crazy. That I think that even takes the crown over David Tepper for worst owner, honestly, right now. So holy shit, that's crazy. If anyone hasn't read that article, I fully recommend reading it because we haven't even given it all of its credit. That it was shocking how much bullshit was in that article.
And when I say arrogant, that's like a huge understatement. Like the level of arrogance that this child has.
Just a couple of billionaire kids, just being dickheads, basically. Rams 8-6 at Jets 4-10 though. This has another trap game feeling to me personally. The Jets looked really good last week. It was against the Jaguars, I know, but the Rams defense hasn't been like amazing lately either. It's in New Jersey as well. I think I'm picking the Rams, but I listened to John Gruden talk about how he thinks the Jets were going to win last night, and it kind of made me start like second guessing myself. I'm like, okay, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, they look pretty good together right now. I think Garrett Wilson probably has a pretty good game in here too, a lot of targets. The opportunity exists for Breece Hall to be pretty good too if Braylon Allen misses. I know they still have Isaiah Davis too, but I'm going to pick the Rams, but I'm a little nervous about this one. This has trap game vibes to me as well.
No, I'm right there with you too, Brian. I am picking the Rams But the Jets do scare me because it's like it would just make perfect sense for the Jets to start winning games now and looking like a good team now rather than before. But I'm still picking the Rams because I still believe that they are going to make the playoffs. They are my playoff pick. And I do think that if they do make the playoffs, they will be one of the more dangerous teams.
Yeah, dude. Sean McVay.
Matt Stafford, yeah.
Out coaching the fuck out of Jeff Albrecht, dude.
Oh yeah. Almost certainly. Yes.
Out coaching Aaron Rodgers. Out coaching all these, like, I believe this is when it comes down to good coaching. When you're fighting for a playoff spot and you're relying on a full team effort to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, it starts with the coaching. Mm-hmm. Like Brian said before, I'm going to trust Sean McVay, to coach in any situation.
Oh, yeah.
Probably I think he probably is the best coach in the NFL.
Either him or Andy, right?
I'll give him top 3.
I'll give him top 2. I don't think he's one, but I think he's a close second.
I think it's like guys like, it's like Tomlin's
top 5. Yeah.
Andy Reid. There's a couple other good ones. Pete Carroll's
gone now. Potentially.
Yeah, I wish Pete Carroll would come back. Come coach Chicago, Pete. We want you in Chicago. I want Pete Carroll, dude.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Carroll's a good coach. The vibes would be instantly better.
Dude. So much better vibes with Pete Carroll. We need a vibes guy.
Him just chomping gum on the sideline with his hands on his knees.
Mouth wide open. That was a catch. That was a catch.
So we're all on LA then?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Eagles 12-2 at Commanders 9-5. One of the more interesting games of the week. The Eagles have opened the practice window for Bryce Huff, so that means he'll probably be back in time for the playoffs. Good addition for them. The Commanders are opening the practice window for Jonathan Allen, so that's a really good addition for them too. I was under the impression, I can't remember if they said specifically, I thought he was out for the season. So that's a big get back for them because he's one of their better defensive players for sure. And one of their better leaders too. He's one of the captains. So that would be a big addition to this team for the Commanders. Zach Ertz is questionable with a concussion/shoulder injury. I want to pick the Commanders. I want to believe that they have hope that they could beat the Eagles because if they make the playoffs, there's a chance that they have to play the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. I told Kai on Tuesday that the Eagles better hope that they win this game because obviously they don't necessarily need it or anything like that to make the playoffs. They're already in. But if you give the Commanders just a little bit of hope, make them believe that they can beat you in a potential wild card game, I feel like that could be bad. I know the wild card game would be in Philly, but still, I think that could be bad. I think you got to snuff out this torch immediately. I think Philly's got to go full throttle here. Not that they never do that anyway. I feel like Sirianni's always full throttle, but I'll take the Eagles. I'm rooting hard for the Commanders to show me something here, though. I'm rooting hard for them, but I'll pick the Eagles. They're just the better team.
Yeah.
More talents.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles too, of course. I mean, this defense that we have going right now, number 1 in the league across a lot of statistics. I mean, this is just a puzzle that not many people have figured out so far, and I don't think it's going to start with Jaden Daniels, a rookie quarterback. I know he's having a fantastic season, but man, this is a tall task for any team, any coach, any organization to face right now. Yeah, and I feel like the Eagles answered a lot of our offensive concerns last week with that performance by Jalen Hurts. So I mean, I think this offense is back to looking very balanced again, and that's a very bad note for the rest of the league.
Mm-hmm. The way I'm looking at this game is I think it is a must-win game for the Eagles if they're trying to achieve their goals of getting that number 1 seed, which I think is the most important to the Eagles than all the other 3 teams at 12-2 in the NFC. Like you got Detroit, Philly, Minnesota. This is a must-win game for Philly because Minnesota and Detroit play Week 18. Now, let's not underscore how big of a game that is, right? But this win against the Commanders basically keeps them, I think, puts them ahead of anybody else.
Oh, yeah, because our schedule after that is
easier.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, so Eagles have the best chance to win out, especially if they beat the Commanders. I think they're going to realize that the best part about getting to the playoffs is making everyone come to your house. And I think Philly would have the best home field advantage of any team in the NFC right now. I think Detroit's there as well, but Philly is a hard place to play. It's going to be cold, and they want to make teams come there.
I think specifically against a potential playoff matchup with the Lions, you would want that to be in Lincoln Financial Field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the Vikings.
And the Vikings inside. For sure, too, yeah.
And, you're going to want to make anybody. You're going to want to make Washington come to Philly. You're going to want to make Green Bay to come to Philly. The Rams, the Bucs, any of these other teams, you're going to want to make them come to Philly in January. So
you're picking the Eagles then?
I'm picking the Eagles big time.
Before we move on, I just want to say Chris Jones just got hurt in the Kansas City game. It didn't look too bad. He said something to Kelsey as he was like limping to the sideline, and Kelsey started laughing. So I assume that probably means he's okay, but he was down for a few seconds. Okay. Browns 3-11 at Cincinnati 6-8. Already talked about this game a little bit already, but obviously DTR is playing. The Bengals, their defense actually played really well last week. It was against the Titans. Will Levis, obviously, I think he threw 3 picks, and then Mason Rudolph threw another one. So obviously that's Tennessee. But DTR is going to throw at least 1 pick. He's going to turn the ball over at least once, almost certainly. So I think the Bengals are a really good defense and special teams play this week again. Obviously, it's nerve-wracking because they're really bad. just an awful defensive unit. But this matchup is too good to ignore, in my opinion. I think it's even better than Tennessee's was last week. Nick Chubb is out of the picture. Not that he was like the normal Nick Chubb that we saw always, but I think Jerome Ford is like really the only Brown that I would feel somewhat comfortable playing, because I think he's probably going to get some dump-offs. He doesn't have Chubb there to take any carries away from him. I'm sure somebody like Pierre Strong will probably get involved too, but I think Jerome Ford's going to be the main guy.
He does have the tendency to pop off big runs every once in a while, too.
Yeah, so especially in the receiving game, too. He's explosive.
I could see him getting some like fourth quarter dump offs in garbage time when the Bengals are up by like 20-something, something along that line. I know Joe Burrow has struggled historically against Cleveland, but I don't think this is going to be one of those games. Bengals won their first matchup, right? Almost certainly. I know the Browns are 3-11, so I assume that they did, but I don't really remember that game. I'm picking Cincy for what it's worth. I think Cincinnati blows them out.
Yeah, I'm taking Cincy too. Dylan made a good argument earlier about the Browns defense being tenacious against Joe Burrow most of the time, but I do think that just because DTR is playing, I don't see this offense scoring even enough points to try and catch up to whatever the Bengals do.
I don't know, dude. I think this is going to go. Let me see here. Injury report, right, for the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Tillman and Njoku are both questionable, by the way.
It's interesting. I just don't see Myles Garrett's name on there.
No, I think he's fine. I think he's fine. I think he's playing. I think he is playing through injury, but I don't think it's like something that's going to keep him out.
It's bad
Everyone's
news.
Playing through injury in December.
Serious bad news for Joe Burrow, and that's mainly the reason why he has trouble against the Browns defense. And it's Myles Garrett that's at pass rush. The Bengals have never been able to stop the Browns pass rush ever. Joe Burrow always gets just absolutely clobbered in these games. So I think it's going to be extremely ugly. But that being said, I think the Bengals are 1-5 at home, dude. They're not a good team at home. Like, this is not home field advantage. This is not going to be an easy game. But I do think that the Browns are going to be so limited on offense with DTR that I just don't understand, I don't understand what's going on with the Browns.
Ironically, I could see a situation to where DTR is so bad that they throw Jameis back in there and then they might accidentally win the game.
First off, Jameis is questionable too, so he might not even play or be active. Obviously, I don't think so. I think if you're on DTR, they're 3-11, dude. If you're benching Jameis for DTR, you're not going back to Jameis immediately. You might go back to him like the last game of the year. I think DTR is getting the rest of the snaps as long as he's healthy. I don't think there's any way you can put Jameis back in after you benched him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, at this point, you might as well see what you got with DTR, right? If you think that this move is the move to make, you might as well play him and see what he's got the last 3 games. Because if if he looks like he has his entire NFL career, he's not going to be on a roster next year. So,
yeah, so I'm gonna give it to the Bengals, but I definitely think this is a sloppy game. Like, I don't see this being a clean game by either team. So it's just going to be is what it is. I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are the only fantasy viable team players in this game at all.
I still think Chase Brown. I still think Chase Brown's a must start personally, but I respect your take. I would start those three, and that's it. And then for the Browns, I would only. I have no problem playing Jerry Jeudy. I personally would not, but if you want to, he's been so good that you know I could see it. Jerome Ford's the only Brown I would play personally.
Yeah.
All right. Titans 3-11 at Colts 6-8. Alec Pierce is out. Tony Pollard is questionable with an ankle injury, and Ryan Kelly is questionable with a knee. I mean, this is going to be a slot fest here. Mason Rudolph starting for the Titans. I think the Titans look significantly better with Mason Rudolph, and I don't even think Mason Rudolph's good, but at least he's competent enough to like move the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pick the Titans. I think they upset the Colts here. Yeah. The Colts are just not that good. They pop off every once in a while, but it's just up to Anthony Richardson. Are we going to see like a decent Anthony Richardson, or are we going to see a bad one? Because we haven't really seen a good Anthony Richardson per se. We see someone who's good enough to win every once in a while, but even then, sometimes his completion percentage is just awful. I know the Titans defense has kind of taken a hit here in the second half of the season. They're not quite as good as they were in the first half. I still think the Titans win in Indianapolis, so I'm gonna go Tennessee.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. The Titans aren't as dominant as they were in the first half, but I still believe that against a bad quarterback, they can definitely have a great game. And Anthony Richardson right now is a very bad quarterback. Yeah, also, man, the Colts run defense, it's one of the worst I've ever seen. I would not be shocked. I mean, I had Tajay Spears as my savior earlier. So, and you're right. Mason Rudolph is not a horrible quarterback for this team. A lot better than Will Levis, if you ask me. So, yeah, I think the Titans can muster up enough to win this game, and their defense can pull out enough stops against a scattershot Anthony Richardson. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, dude, Anthony Richardson is holding strong under 50% completion percentage this year. Just keeps getting worse.
Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
I can't believe it, dude. It's getting worse and worse. He's a career 50% passer. Wow. Yeah, I think the Titans defense is as limited and struggling as they've been. They showed a little bit of fight versus Cincinnati in the first half, especially. You know, Cincinnati eventually broke out of that game and, you know, kind of solidified themselves as the winner. But that being said, I feel like the Colts are so inefficient and just so they don't have much going on. You know, I feel like they're one of the more uninspiring teams in the NFL this year. The fact that they have 6 wins, you can basically account that to Joe Flacco.
No, Flacco went 0-2, didn't he?
Did he?
I think so. Yeah, Flacco was pretty bad, but he also got Buffalo and fucking Minnesota though.
Yeah, he had a tough schedule. Yeah,
they threw him to the Wolves.
Anthony Richardson has basically won them 6 games.
I believe so. I think Flacco maybe won like in a relief one time, maybe if he came in. I'm not sure, but I don't think Joe Flacco won a start this year. I could be wrong. Let me take a look.
I think
Flacco was 1-3 this year, which means what? Anthony Richardson's what 5-5?
Yeah. So maybe the Colts are the best team in the NFL with just a terrible quarterback.
maybe,
maybe, dude.
Wait, so are we all picking the Titans then? Mm-hmm. Are you on the Tennessee?
Fuck, dude. I don't know. This is like picking between a shit-covered steak and a shit-covered hamburger.
Like the opposite of a Sophie's choice.
Yeah, dude. Nah. Give me the Colts.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, this is good because this is only the second game that we've differed, other than the Chargers Broncos. So technically the third one, but we're like picking the same side all the way down. So I was like, the standings aren't going to move much this week at all. It looks like so that's good. A little disparity. Disparity.
Yeah, dude. Jonathan Taylor's probably take this game over a little bit. Anthony Richardson still has rushing upside. You know, he still is dangerous in the red zone when he gets there. So
Alec Pierce being out hurts their big play potential. But I could see AD Mitchell maybe taking his spot and having like a big play. I don't know if he's gonna have like a touchdown or anything like that, but he has the same sort of big play potential. The one thing is that he and Anthony Richardson don't really seem like they're on the same page just yet. But I wouldn't be shocked if Adonai Mitchell has like a big play or two in this game with Alec Pierce out. Still take it in Tennessee though. So Next up, Minnesota 12-2 at Seattle 8-6. Stephon Gilmore will play for the Vikings after missing the past 2 games. Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker are both off of the injury report and will start. It's in Seattle. Honestly, a pretty solid game, especially since Geno's playing.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Minnesota because they're just the better team, and I'm still a little bit nervous about Geno's knee. It kind of looked bad last week. Him being off the injury report going into the game gives me a little bit of hope that he's perfectly okay. But the Seahawks just have a lot of question marks, and I don't really have any question marks about the Vikings. They look like a pretty complete team. As long as Sam Darnold can keep this up, they're going to be a contender for the Super Bowl. I still want to see what playoff Darnold looks like, but if he plays exactly the way he's played, the Vikings could easily win the Super Bowl. So I'm going to pick Minnesota. They're the better team. I think they can go into Seattle and win. And yeah, I got the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings too. I mean, after what we saw last week with Seattle against Green Bay, I've kind of just lost any small amount of confidence that I had in them already. I mean, and especially going up against another NFC North team and arguably better than the Packers. I don't see a way that Seattle wins this game, to be honest.
I mean, I think I'm going to take the Vikings because I think Justin Jefferson is probably going to just eat everyone's lunch in front of them in this game. I just think Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, I think the path of success for the Vikings is like establishing a nice little run, but really pushing the ball down the field to these like huge, 2 of the best playmakers in the league this year is Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, literally on the same team. It's like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. You know, like you have that kind of ability. So I think there is a chance that the Seahawks win because they're a winning team playing at home late in the season. You know, it's happened a million times, but I don't think the Seahawks have the playmaking ability to really stand up against what the Vikings can put out there.
The Seahawks have pulled some wins that were unexpected out of their pocket this year too. So it wouldn't be the most shocking thing if they beat the Vikings, but yeah, I just think the Vikings are the better team. So we're all in Minnesota then?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up. By the way, has anyone called the Vikings playmakers the Suns yet? Jefferson, Addison, Hawkins' son? They're the Suns, dude.
The Sons of Skull?
Sons of Skull. Oh shit, the Skull Sons.
Call us
for the fucking. Well, look,
we got to trademark that ASAP.
Yes.
Patriots at Bills. Pats 3-11. Bills 11-3. Christian Barmore placed on the NFI list after experiencing recurring symptoms that require further evaluation. That's not good. Remember, he had a blood clot, right? He had blood clots. Is that right? So that's not good. He's probably out for the rest of the season. No point in bringing him back. So hopefully he gets better and gets back on the field next year. Kyle Duggar, questionable. Ankle/illness is what they list him as. Curtis Samuel is questionable with a rib. Matt Milano is questionable. Bicep/groin. Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp are both questionable as well for Buffalo.
Well,
I'm picking the Bills.
Yeah. I was like, no wonder we're all picking the same game. They look like this, you know? What are we supposed to do?
No wonder we're picking the sames. Yeah, I mean, this is a very lopsided week, honestly, except for like 2 games. Honestly, maybe like 3 games, but 2 of them are today. So, yeah.
All right, yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills.
Yeah.
In blowout fashion. I think this is going to be just disgusting. I think that Josh Allen still has a sour taste in his mouth for the Patriots early in his career. I think he probably wants to put it to him each time he plays them, especially since that time that I think Mac Jones threw 3 passes and the Patriots beat them, you know? You remember that game? So
I don't, but I believe it.
Yeah, dude, it was like a super windy game. Anyway.
That was last year. Yeah.
Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah, I remember the Bills losing in week 7.
All right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I think that Josh Allen, this is a personal game for him. So another game to help solidify your MVP season. You go out there and you put up 5 touchdowns again. It's the award's pretty much yours. So.
Yeah, I'm probably playing like Khalil Shakur in this game.
Yeah.
Shakur.
Shakur
can honestly make an argument for most of their playmakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, their main ones for obviously you're starting James Cook, you're obviously starting Josh.
Ray Davis even maybe.
I don't know if I would start Ray Davis in a semifinal matchup unless I was like super desperate.
I was starting Amari Cooper.
No,
honestly,
so.
no.
No, and I wouldn't.
No. So
it's
not
risky. It's risky. Yeah.
What about New England? You starting Ramondre?
No.
I don't know. You might have to.
Dude, games. I don't know. I mean, I'm on board with Dylan. If this is going to be a blowout, I mean, game script is just going to screw Ramondre. And
Garbage time.
He hasn't been that impressive, anyways, though. Either.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah,
he hasn't.
So, I don't know.
Okay. Jags 3-11 at the Raiders 2-12. I'm not doing the Raider voice anymore. I ain't doing the Raider voice anymore. They don't fucking deserve it. I mean, so let me paint a nightmare scenario for you here. The next 2 games for the Raiders are against the Jaguars and the Saints. 2 winnable ass games.
Yeah.
And then they get the Chargers, I believe, week 18, which, I mean, the Chargers might have a playoff spot locked up by then, so they could be playing backups. The Raiders could play themselves into like the 9th overall pick here, potentially. AOC is playing, not Desmond Ridder. He will start. AOC will. I'm going to pick the Jaguars and just pray to God that the Jaguars win. I mean, the Jags looked good last week too. The Jets-Jags game was actually a solid game. A lot of fantasy value in that game. So I'm hoping that Mac Jones continues this little hot streak that he's on, get some touchdowns to Brian Thomas. Brendan Strange had a good game last week too. The run game is abysmal. I mean, if anyone could bring Travis Etienne back to life, it is the Raiders, to be honest with you. So I'm just hoping that the Jaguars just take care of business. They are the better team. No, there's no doubt about it. Even though this is a winnable game for the Raiders, the Jaguars are without a doubt the better team.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm going to go Jaguars, but I am terrified. I'm terrified of this game.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially with the injury to Sincere McCormick, the Raiders really don't have a run game now. I know Amir Abdullah has talent, but it's not like consistent talent.
Madison too. Yeah, both of them are just are good enough to like get the job done against the Jaguars, but they're not. Neither one of them are good.
Yeah, but other than that, though, I mean, yeah, Mac Jones is playing some decent football. Looks like him and Brian Thomas Jr. have a legit connection, and the Raiders defense is whatever. So yeah, the Jags can win this game.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's a home game for the Raiders, but who knows if Jags fans travel well? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they like to stay in Duval County. We don't really know. I've never seen a Jaguars fan, actually.
You have. We met one time at a party.
Oh, that's right. But
that's the only Jaguars fan we've ever seen.
Yeah, but I have a theory about that I don't think that guy was actually real.
He said he was an Orioles, Grizzlies, Jaguars fan. I was like, that's the most random combination I've ever heard. And I grew up a Redskins, Cavs, Yankees fan.
He doesn't exist.
Not a real person. Yeah. That guy, never saw that guy again after that night. I think that was around Halloween. The veil to another dimension was
actually
thin.
You know what?
To another dimension. Yeah.
Hold on a second. I don't think I've ever actually met a Jaguars fan either.
That's what I'm saying. This might be the one time the Raiders actually have home field advantage here because the Jaguars fans just don't exist and they're on the other side of the country.
Yeah, actually, they might not exist.
The Jaguars aren't a real franchise.
That's why they want to get them to London so badly.
They want to hide the fact that it's just an apparition of a team. It's just ghosts. I think, dude, I know this is going to hurt Brian. I'm going to pick the Raiders to win this game.
Oh,
it doesn't hurt. I would not be shocked if they win this game. I've been waiting for this for weeks. I've been telling you guys, the Raiders are going to find a way to fuck this up. I know my luck. I'm not allowed to have a franchise quarterback. I'm going to get Jalen Milroe 10th overall.
Hey,
not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah. Not bad.
It could be better.
Could be better. Or Jalen Milroe could be really good. You don't know.
He's had some bad games this year.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm gonna take the Raiders to win. I just think both of these teams are really bad. I think, and it will come down to like the end. It'll be a close game. But I think AOC just like wants to win games. Like he wants to be out there. He wants to go out there. He wants to win games for the Raiders. And I just think it's counterproductive to what they should actually want to accomplish. But hey.
Well, the thing is, AOC, it's not like they're going to use a top pick on somebody to help AOC next year. They're going to at least try to get a quarterback, unless they get flushed out again like they did last year where all the quarterbacks were gone before they picked at like 12th or 13th whenever they picked Bowers. They're going to pick a quarterback as long as one's on the board that they like. So AOC's playing for a job per se, and not necessarily for the Raiders, but a job down the road once his Raiders contract is up. Go be a Band-Aid quarterback somewhere. And then Antonio Pierce is playing for his job too, because the Raiders are being very ominous about him too. Where like Mark Davis is explaining how Tom Telesco, the GM, and Antonio Pierce are separate packages. They're not, they could keep one and not the other type of thing. And I'm perfectly fine with keeping Telesco beyond this. I'm willing to give him a chance, even though he's had ups and downs with the Chargers. I'm willing to give Telesco a chance. Antonio Pierce needs to go. He's just not ready to be an NFL head coach. It's still, it just pains me that they didn't even give Harbaugh even a look last season. That was crazy. They let Devontae Adams control the fucking franchise. He plays for the Jets now, if you don't remember. So, just a bad organization. I like Mark Davis, but just a badly run organization.
Yeah, you have to look at the people, the coaching pool coming up, and you have to look at your coach and you have to look at yourself in the mirror, you little pumpkin pie haircutted freak. Like you need to look at yourself in the mirror and you need to go, all of the people in the coaching pool are better than Antonio Pierce at being a head coach. So you need to go get one. You got to go get one, especially if you have plans on bringing in a quarterback. You have to get rid of Antonio Pierce.
In the last offseason, I was fine hiring Antonio Pierce as long as Harbaugh didn't want to come. They didn't. I mean, at the time, I just assumed he didn't want to come to the Raiders. But there were reports out lately, like the last month, that the Bears and the Raiders were he was both interested in both of them, and neither one of them gave him even like a thought at all. Oof. So, which is fucking crazy to me.
That stinks.
So I at that point I was fine because I didn't want Max Crosby. Max Crosby was another person that was upset that if they didn't hire Antonio Pierce. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with making Adams and Crosby happy. Then if Harbaugh doesn't want to come, but like in hindsight now, that was just such an awful, abysmal move. So yeah, I'm hoping that Antonio Pierce gets fired whether they win this game or not. I think he probably will. Even if the Raiders win out, I think he's probably done the way Mark Davis has been talking lately. So
I think the Bears would be 10-4 right now if Harbaugh was our coach.
Probably.
It'd be a good team. Ugh.
Okay. Next up, Niners 6-8 at Miami 6-8. Two just really disappointing ball clubs here. Trent Williams is out. Kyle Shanahan has said that he probably will not play again this season. Isaac Guerrero is out. Nick Bosa is questionable. Dre Greenlaw is questionable. Jalen Waddle is doubtful for Miami. And Tyreek Hill is questionable. I assume Tyreek Hill is going to play. He's just going to be questionable the rest of the year because of that wrist injury that he has.
I mean, is he though? I mean, did you see the tweets this week?
I did. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it kind of sounds like I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek just checks out the rest of the season now.
So since that tweet happened, I haven't heard anything that suggests that he isn't going to play this week or anything like that. The specific tweet says it's time for me to go coach. So I don't know. There's no comma there. So I don't know if that means is it time for me to go coach or is it time for me to go coach?
I mean, if he's banged up right now, I see it being the perfect justification for him to just be like, peace out the rest of the season.
Thing is, Tyreek Hill is a baller though. Like he can be a diva sometimes, but like I don't think he's like some dude that's like, I'm checked out for the rest of the year. I think he wants to play football as long as he's good enough to play. I think he'll play through an injury. And they asked Mike McDaniel about it the morning of that tweet going out, and he was like, he made a joke about it. Kind of, he definitely was like a little flustered by it. But he said at the end, he's like, I think if he was talking to me, he would have said sir, because that's what he calls me. Obviously joking around because Tyreek Hill isn't calling him sir. But I think he probably meant to put a comma there. He's just not grammatically correct. Or not a comma. No, not a comma. I'm trying for me to go coach football. I don't know, though. Who knows? I think he plays this week, but yeah, that's a good point that you bring up there, Kai.
Yeah.
How are we looking at this game? I don't really have a winner yet that I've decided on. Do you guys have a pick here?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to take the Dolphins just because I feel like the Niners are just so banged up, and now, just Trent Williams is continuing to be out of this offense is going to hamstring them in certain ways on drives. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't believe in the Niners anymore right now. Brock Purdy doesn't look very great either. I know he's not working with most of his offense all season, but kind of just feel like the Dolphins will win this game at home too.
Yeah, man. The injuries for the Niners have just continued to pile up. I mean, Nick Bosa is questionable. Dre Greenlaw is questionable. If only the Niners had a guy that could step in and play if Greenlaw doesn't play.
Andre Campbell, is he out there on the free agent market?
Oh, man. DeAndre Campbell. Dude, I think he is. Actually, no, he's on the suspended list, I heard.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's on the suspended list. I don't necessarily know what happened, but it seems like they're a little short at the middle linebacker position, whatever he plays. It is what it is, man. It's just, this is kind of like at the beginning of the season, if you were like, oh, Niners Dolphins, late in the season, this is going to be a game with high stakes. No, both teams are 6-8. It's highly disappointing. I'm going to take the Dolphins though. It just Trent Williams and Isaac Guerrero being out is just, what dimensions do they have on offense anymore?
I mean, especially against the Dolphins defense, which is not bad at all. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to be extremely limited in what they can do on offense. Very predictable. It's just put this whole offense in a box, packed it up, and shipped it out, dude. Dolphins for the win. Sad day.
Oh, I definitely think the Dolphins are better off right now. I kind of want to pick the Niners just to have like some fucking change up here. I'll do it. Why not? I'll do the 49ers. Why not? Let's get some standings updates in this week.
I mean, I don't think it's crazy that you picked the 49ers. I mean, this could probably go either way at the end of the day.
The Dolphins are healthier though, so I mean, I know Waddle's going to miss. I know they have other injuries too, but I assume the Dolphins are the favor going into this game. I'll pick the Niners just to be different though. I think it's close enough where you're right. I don't think it's like a crazy pick. I know they lost last week to the Rams, but that was like a weird rain game. Where nobody scored a touchdown. So I don't know if you can go off of that. They destroyed the Bears the week before, and then they've had like horrible losses a few weeks before that. So they're up and down, up and down, up and down. I'll go Niners. I don't feel great about it, but I'll go Niners. Why not?
I don't feel great about the Dolphins pick, to be honest. Fair. But
All right, next up, Sunday Night Football. Tampa Bay versus Dallas. Tampa is 8-6. Cowboys are 6-8. Kate Otten is doubtful with a knee injury. Micah Parsons is questionable with an illness. I assume he'll probably play. Tampa has the ability to lose a game like this, but I don't think they're going to. I'll pick Tampa. I don't think it'll be a full-on blowout, but I'll say like a double-digit win for Tampa. I'll say like 10 to 14 point win.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to deny Baker Mayfield right now. He is playing some pretty good football. Mike Evans is fully back in the lineup. He's looked a lot better since then too. And yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys could just pull off some kind of win here at home on Sunday Night Football. But yeah, I got to take the Bucs here. I mean, I just feel it. I just feel like Baker Mayfield's going to have a good game. I just feel like the Bucs are going to completely dominate this as well.
Yeah, man. I think the Buccaneers are playing some of the best football right now in the league. Just the last 4 games, man. They've been putting it on some folks, offensively. So Dallas, that will be no different. Every game this season going forward is a must. These are all playoff games for the Buccaneers, by the way. With the Falcons hot on their tails, every single game is a must win. So they're playing playoff. They have to start playing playoff football right now. And I think they will. And Mike Evans has a really big chance to actually, 749 receiving yards with 3 games left. He needs 250 in 3 games. Very attainable.
Oh, yeah.
Very attainable. And I want to see him do it on the only season he's missed substantial time with injury. If he still does it, he's the GOAT, you know? So I think it's the offense will probably run through them, Baker, Mike Evans. But yeah, man, the Cowboys being 1-6 in Dallas this year is hilarious. I hope it happens again, or in Arlington, I should say. It should happen again, like for them to finish 1-7 at home. Maybe not even finish, but I hope the Cowboys only win one home game this year.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Who was the one home win?
Let's see. Who did they beat at home?
Probably the Panthers.
Could have been a good team with Dak. Who knows?
The Giants.
Okay, never mind. All right, so we're all on Tampa. Update on the Chiefs game. It just ended. The Chiefs won 27-19.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's another boring win for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Boo.
It actually wasn't that bad of a game. It was decent. Saints 5-9 at Packers 10-4 on Monday Night Football. Alvin Kamara is doubtful. The Saints signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire to the practice squad. And Chris Olave's practice window has been opened by the Saints. I don't know why you would do that, but he may make an appearance before the end of the season. Kamara said there's been reports both ways about Kamara. Immediately the report was that he probably is going to be out the rest of the season, but then he came out and said that he's going to try to make it back before the end of the year. So we may see Kamara again. We may not. I don't know. I think Kendre Miller is like a decent desperation play. Or if, let's say, you have I don't know, someone who's injured. I guess there's not really anybody that's like questionable that you would play, but I think Kendre Miller is decent. I wouldn't say definitely start him. He's going to get all these. I don't know how the workload's going to look, but I wouldn't be shocked if Kendre Miller has a decent game. I know the Packers defense is okay, but I would play Kendre Miller if I had to in this game. Personally, I do think the Packers win. I'm picking the Packers. I think Kendre Miller, for fantasy's sake, is playable, though. I think he could get double-digit points in a flex spot.
It's a little risky, but I mean, I see the vision. But yeah, I'm taking the Packers too, man. Just the more complete team right now. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, dude, the activation of Chris Olave makes, not activation, but opening of his window makes no sense. Is that who you said, Chris Olave?
Yeah,
Yeah, makes zero sense. Come on, Saints. Whatever.
Especially with the injury that he had, too, concussion. Why even throw him back out there? And he's had a few concussions in his career. Why even bother?
CEH being signed to the Saints practice squad. Interesting move.
Yeah.
Intriguing move, especially if he works out and they keep him for next year. Keep an eye on that. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, this is going to be a drubbing. This is going to be bad. The Saints stand no chance. I think this is going to be a Monday Night Football game that I don't watch very much of because it's probably going to be a huge blowout. Like Spencer Rattler, is that who's starting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. Okay. I don't want to see it. Kamara's not playing. You know, he's their leading rusher and receiver, by the way. What is going on in New Orleans? Alvin Kamara's the entire offense. He's probably not going to play.
He's definitely not going to play. Yeah.
This is going to be a terrible game for the Saints. Terrible game.
Yeah.
Poor Saints fans. Don't watch this. Green Bay's favored by 2 touchdowns.
Are they really?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
14 points.
I mean, it's probably pretty accurate. I mean, realistically, if you try to think of any way that the Saints can score points in this game, I can't think of many.
Dude, MVS.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
If Spencer Rattler if Spencer Rattler's not too terrified to look downfield, you know?
I don't think he is, but I mean, he from what I saw last game, he had Anthony Richardson completion percentages. So
who?
Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Richardson.
All right.
We're all on Green Bay. That's it for us. As always, you can find us at Raging Takes everywhere, Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can email us ragingtakes@gmail.com. I'm at Montana Sauce on Twitter. Kai is at RTP Kai. Dylan is at Such a Wise Fool. We're not going to be recording on Tuesday. It's Christmas Eve, so we're going to skip that episode this week. Sorry for that. No one's going to listen to a podcast on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day anyway, so we'll be back next Saturday to preview Week 17. Good luck in your fantasy matchups. We'll see you then.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.